At the incident command post, Chief Messina was aware this was becoming a major fire.
Just be ready to call in personnel that are off duty right now.
But with firefighters in Concow trapped and aircraft unable to fly because of the wind, he didn't know how fast it was moving.
We typically get our fire intelligence, what the fire's doing, how fast it's spreading from our own line personnel, firefighters. What was different about this day, it was the fact that as soon as our firefighters engaged, they went right into rescue mode. And they were no longer able, nor did they really care where the fire was spreading. They were too busy on rescuing civilians and ensuring that of their own safety. So we didn't get a lot of intelligence on how fast the fire was spreading.
The fire was moving towards the town of Paradise, 4 miles away on the other side of a steep canyon. In the past, fires have rarely crossed the canyon, but the campfire was now spreading at a rate of 80 football fields a minute. Now spreading at a rate of 80 football fields a minute.
And slowly, as people were waking up in the morning, having their coffee, looking out the window, and seeing what I couldn't see.
Dispatcher Carol Ladrini had been trained to handle calls reporting fires.
Do you see ashes? Do you see flames? How close is it? Because kind of far off could be across the street or 2 canyons away.
911, what is
CAL FIRE normally notifies Paradise Police if a fire is threatening the town, but they hadn't done so.
I want to report a fire unless somebody else already reported it.
Okay, is it in the Concow area and up north that way?
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, we're getting lots of calls. Thank you.
Okay.
As more calls came in, Ladrini says she contacted CAL FIRE, and they told her the fire was north of Concow, miles from Paradise.
Did they say anything about the size or the intensity of the fire?
No. At that point, they didn't, and I didn't ask. Generally, a fire that far away would never even get close to Paradise.
Paradise Police. Hello.
I didn't ask. Generally, a fire that far away would never even get close to Paradise.
Fire that's north of Concow up off of Highway 70. It's just creating a lot of smoke right now.
Why are so many people calling about this smoke? What's going on? Still, at that point, I didn't know what they were seeing. So all I could do is call CAL FIRE back. What I said was, can you confirm with me that this is north of Concow, that this is not in Paradise? People say there's ashes falling. Yes, it's north of Concow. That's the words that I got. Okay. So I continued to tell the people that were calling that we were not under threat.
911, are you calling about the smoke?
Yes, I am. How come we're not seeing it on news or
It's because
sirens
it's
or
still
something?
new. It's north of Highway 70. Are we supposed to be evacuated or what? No, you'll be notified. There's a fire north of Concow. No danger to Paradise, okay? What is that?
By 7:45, the fire had crossed the canyon and was threatening Paradise and the surrounding area, home to 40,000 people. CAL FIRE issued an evacuation order for residents on the east side of Paradise, but not for those from other parts of town.
And it's raining ash
Okay,
where I
yeah.
live. How far
Where do
was
you
the
live?
fire? I live on Nunley.
So, at this point, you're not in danger, but, just stay close to your phone.
18 minutes after fire entered the town, Carol Ladrini received a call from CAL FIRE.
Paradise Police. Hey, it's Jennifer, Butte County Fire. Yeah. We've just issued mandatory evacuations for the entire town of Paradise. Are you serious?
That we were not under threat.
Ladrini received a call from CAL FIRE.
Paradise Police. Hey, it's Jennifer, Butte County Fire? Yeah. We've just issued mandatory evacuations for the entire town of Paradise. Are you serious?
When I started as a firefighter in the mid-1980s, we had large fires. You know, it wasn't uncommon, and we may be at a large fire for a week or two, maybe even a little bit longer. But then the periods would subside, and we would go back, we'd regroup, and we'd get ready for the next round. Now, in the current fire environment, the season is much longer, the summer is much hotter, drier, less humidity, and typically our winters have been on the lower end of average.
We measure climate at weather stations, and when fires burn, we trace their footprint. Those types of analyses have shown that human-caused climate change has doubled wildfire since 1984 across the western United States, above what would have burned without climate change.
Researchers say that in Northern California, summers have warmed by an average of 2.5 degrees in the last 50 years. At the same time, climate change has made prolonged drought more common in the area.
But what we've observed over the last several fire seasons is that it doesn't rain until late in December or even early January. And that means that the landscape hasn't seen a drop of precipitation in perhaps 8 months. It's that combination of factors where you get the high winds, you get the high temperatures, you have fuels that are bone dry, and you combine all of those factors into a package that is really explosive from a wildland perspective, where then if you throw a match into that package, you're going to generate a catastrophe.
All units, be advised, the town of Paradise is under mandatory evacuation. The town of Paradise is under a mandatory evacuation. Sam 15, and they also have a couple at 16.
I was dispatched to a fire down on the east canyon edge. So I slid my body camera on and went behind the house. I can hear a roaring, and I can see flames coming up from the canyon that were probably 30, 40 feet in height.
Paradise 14, I've got the fire up to the houses. It's going to be east of Lowry.
Fire was now established on the east side of Paradise. Police went door to door to make sure people had left.
Affirmative. So I'm not going to be able to get to either house. The fire was swirling around the houses. It was coming in at all angles, defying any sense of gravity or any sense of, in my mind, what would be normal for a fire. Too much was happening, too much was going on, and we were not able to do more than just a couple of handful of streets.
Affirmative. So I'm not going to be able to get to either house.
The fire was swirling around the houses. It was coming in at all angles, defying any sense of gravity or any sense of, in my mind, what would be normal for a fire. Too much was happening, too much was going on, and we were not able to do more than just a couple of handful of streets.
My mom had me at 41. For many years, we were like best friends. We'd rent out Redbox movies from Safeway, which was right next door, and hang out, and I could tell her anything.
25-year-old Christina Taft and her mother Victoria lived in Central Paradise.
I wasn't thinking it was that serious at first, and then in the shower I started to smell smoke. I was definitely panicked. I thought it could all, burn. I told that to my mom, and she didn't want to listen to the negativity. We weren't really, arguing. It was just kind of I was saying stuff and then packing up everything I could into the car, so it was completely filled in the trunk and the back seat, and just with the front seat, for my mom. It went on for an hour, kind of. She was just not really packing. She didn't get out of her pajamas. And then she started calling other people to find out what was happening. Looking outside, it started getting, traffic and darker. I just didn't know what to do. It was either I leave or I stay and risk my own life, and I had a life to live. I told her that, I have a life to live, and she was just kind of talking to people on the phone, and they weren't telling her leave.
Christina joined the thousands of others evacuating the town. Her mom refused to come with her.
It was very slow leaving, but it was all burnt, all the way down. People were stopping, getting people in their cars, and I was stuck, so I couldn't go back, even though it wasn't very far away. It just was horrible because I kept calling my mom, and it just didn't work.
Christina and her mother had not received an official evacuation order. The county sheriff's office was using a new alert system called Code Red. It had an option to send out a mass alert to every Paradise resident. But that morning, they didn't use it.
This was an extraordinarily chaotic situation. There was difficulty in terms of structuring the area that we wanted to target. We had one person who was working to try to get that message out. I can assure you from the standpoint of the sheriff's office, nobody was waiting around to notify people. It wasn't as though any delay was calculated or intentional.
They did send out alerts using another feature that informed residents zone by zone, but only those who had signed up.
We knew that signups were not where they needed to be, but we believed that was the future in our big campaign for 2019. was to really increase the number of people signed up for Code Red.
More than half of residents had not signed up, including Christina and her mother. And many of those who had still didn't get a notification.
Cell phone towers went down. The networks were so clogged that we couldn't get through it. It was an event that literally outpaced all of our resources almost immediately. Literally outpaced all of the planning that had been done prior to this. And ultimately, people have to be responsible for their own safety. The best person to craft an evacuation plan for you is you.
Trying to evacuate. Pence Road is on fire. Everything is burnt.
After evacuating the hospital, Nurse Nicole Jolly was driving south. She turned off Pence Road onto a side street, Pearson Road. Ahead of her, cars were already on fire and had been abandoned.
I'm getting down into this ravine, and I kind of look going, oh, this isn't good, because this fire is blowing so fast. The road's completely engulfed in flames, and we're stuck in the middle of it. That tree could come down on me at any moment. This is ridiculous that I'm stuck behind these stupid. And I'm on the phone with my husband, and I'm screaming for him. I'm like, Nick, you gotta get to me. You have to hurry, because I'm not gonna make it. And he said, I'm trying. I'm gonna get to you. And I'm like, I'm gonna die. And I'm so sorry. And my car's starting to fill up with smoke at that point, and I told my